strikes. Well, that's actually something we're going to talk about with someone who, one Lettice, who has outlasted Liz Truss. That is Lettice Bromovsky. Sorry, Lettice, sorry for that horrendous pun there. I do apologise. Although, to be honest, in regard to my lettuce puns, that is the tip of the iceberg. Anyway, she's a political...
Too many this morning, all the jokes going.
Too early. Or yeah, indeed. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming in this morning.
You.
And maybe we will talk about Harry and Meghan at some stage, but let's talk about the strike legislation, because on the front page of the I newspaper you have in front of you there, the headline is "New anti-strike laws could make strikes worse." How is that possible?
How is that possible? I mean, we're right on the cusp of this general strike at the moment. And I think this article comes a lot off the back of PMQs this Wednesday, where Rishi Sunak made a statement saying that he was going to get tough on these strikes and essentially enact new laws or new legislation that would mean that there would be a minimum service requirement. So that things like the rail, like they're talking about here, would have to have a minimum number of workers so that the trains could continue to function whilst there were ongoing strikes.
But I suppose the point is, the point you could then ask, if you're on the side of the workers, is, well, what's the point of strikes? If you're not actually going to disrupt things, if you're not going to make life difficult for people, so they say, hold on a second, maybe we should start thinking about your pay and conditions, well, surely that sort of stops the strikes, the point of strikes.
I mean, there's definitely that argument, exactly. But I think the government needs to be looking at this from an entirely different perspective. I think there needs to be a very tough conversation about the modernisation of the railways in particular.
I think you're absolutely right. And the people using railways as well. I mean, so many people working from home, maybe a few days a week or whatever. Exactly. The whole nature of season tickets, weekly tickets and so on. It's so out of date.
Exactly. I went on a train just yesterday for a work thing. I was heading out of London, going towards the east of England. It was about an hour's journey. I got on. I was the only person in that carriage for the way out. On the way back, it was me and one other person. And yet when I got to the other end of the ticket barriers, there were about 3, ticket conductors, helpers trying to get people through the barriers for about the 6 people that got off the train. Yeah. This is just not a sustainable model. And it is going to be a tough conversation, because there's just going to have to be a bit of probably letting go, and it's a cost of living time and it's hard times. But
I just find all the different, I mean, I don't travel by train that often, but I find all the different fares and things really weird as well. You know, sometimes to get to somewhere like Birmingham, it can cost maybe £15, and then other times it costs £150. It's very, very weird, and I suppose there's so much that's complicated about that. But it's interesting. I mean, we're talking about the trains, obviously, but I was chatting to Jonathan Ida earlier on, political commentator, in regard to the public sector. I mean, how much sympathy do you think people are going to have when actually there are only 7 days, I think, this calendar month that there aren't some form of strike on? The strike on today with the Communication Workers Union, the posties.
Exactly.
Essentially. I mean, how much patience are people going to have?
I don't think that much. We've had 2 years of COVID, not being able to see our families over Christmas, not being able to travel or get away. This is the first Christmas, really, we've got no rules and restrictions on us. And yet we're seeing these strikers holding the country to ransom. Border Force, 30% of flights are expected to be cancelled going out of the country. We've got people just trying to travel for Christmas for the first time in 2-3 years, and they're unable to. I think people's patience is going to run out pretty quickly on things like this.
Let's talk about Harry Dunn and Anne Secoulis, because it's interesting that Harry Dunn's mother has said the job is done in terms of justice. Yeah. I'm not sure I would be so charitable if I were her.
No, not at all. So this is on the front page of the Daily Express, and it says, "Justice for Harry. Mother says job done after killer sentenced." What justice has been done here? This is a woman who killed a teenager and then abused the laws that we have in place and ran away to the USA, where she could be protected by the rights that her husband had through his job.
I mean, diplomatic immunity is not supposed to be if you kill someone.
No, exactly.
It's meant to be other things.
And it's so she's been gone away, and now she's got this 8-month suspended sentence and a 12-month ban on driving. But none of that can be implemented if she's not here in the UK.
But she's unlikely to ever be again.
She will never come back. And we still heard those harrowing stories yesterday. Harry Dunn's mother stood up and said his twin brother, he tried to kill himself. He had all these suicidal thoughts. His mother herself, was on antidepressants. Like, this family is entirely broken by the actions of one woman who then ran away and is still hiding from the repercussions of it. And I think no justice has been done here at all. And frankly, I'm kind of outraged that
I am too, actually.
Nothing's been done.
Do you think the special relationship is the key thing in all of this? I mean, it's not about I just wonder if in other cases where this would have happened. I mean, she was driving the wrong side of the road.
Yeah, it's just simply not a good enough excuse. She even said, I've only been in the UK for a few days. I didn't realise. This seems like simple
ignorance
things.
is no defence, as any country, as any provincial solicitor will tell you.
Yeah.
My goodness. Okay. I just want to take a call in a minute or two from a new caller, actually, in just a second, in regard to energy bills. But before we do that, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Let's talk about Meghan and Harry, another transatlantic thing. Have you watched the documentaries, or have you got a life?
I've watched parts of it. I have definitely not watched all 3 episodes and wasted 3 hours of my life.
I'm going to have to at some stage. I'm just
exactly.
It sort of feels a bit like watching I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here.
Exactly.
I sort of feel I have to do it
also,
for work. But
when you're on Twitter, it feels like you're getting more than enough.
Well, it's like The Godfather. You don't actually have to watch The Godfather. It's like you've watched it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, what do you make of it so far? What are your impressions?
It's exhausting. Actually, there was one headline on the front page of the Mirror, I think it was today, which said, I just want to
stop this royal circus.
Stop this royal circus, exactly. But it said just 2 months after the Queen died, Prince Harry is bemoaning his treatment again. Prince William is venting his fury again. And meanwhile, thousands of ordinary Brits are choosing between eating and heating. Yeah. And that's exactly what this screamed to me. The privilege. Harry grew up in castles and palaces. They've got an £88 million deal behind this. And yet they're complaining about their sort of life and how tough it's been. Everyone has experienced trauma in their life. Everyone has gone through all these different things. And I just think that the privilege there is dumbfounding. But the other main thing I want to touch on is the whole reason we're in this situation is because they said they want to step away from the limelight, get some privacy.
With a 6-hour documentary and a big interview with Oprah.
And a book that's coming out.
Yeah.
Everything they've done since they said they want to step back is counter to that theory that they want to step back from the limelight.
I've said this a couple of times this morning. I mean, I feel that in their position, they get less and less relevant with every day that goes. I mean, it's sort of, we hate being royals, but the only currency they have is the fact they're royals, and the only reason we're listening to them or talking about them is that reason.
No, exactly, all of that. And in the first few minutes of episode 1, they're showing us some private text messages. I mean, even this documentary, they're being followed by cameras permanently. And yet in that documentary, they're saying, this is just the worst thing, we hate the cameras, we hate
terribly
the media.
Intrusive.
Exactly, and all of that. And I think that's just absolutely outrageous.
Especially as you correctly say, as the front page of the Mirror is saying, people talking about heating and eating and energy bills. And actually, let's talk about that briefly. We'll come back to the paper review in a second, Lettice. But I want to talk to Lisa in Ruislip in London, who's given us a call on 0344 499 1000. Lisa, you're very welcome to Talk TV this morning. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm well, thank you. I've got a bit of a cold, so I'm sorry.
I'm sorry to hear that. I hope that clears up soon. What would you like to talk about this morning, Lisa?
Well, the thing is, I've been penalised by my electric company. I'm all electric, I don't have gas. I haven't got my £66 because I didn't use enough energy.
Oh, really? Okay, so you haven't actually got the discount?
No, they gave me it last month, but they're not giving me it this month.
So you've economised, you've done the right thing, you've been using less energy, and you haven't got the discount. That's not a good thing. I think you should get in touch with your energy company. Have you done that? Have you rung them or anything?
Yeah, and they came back and they told me something like they didn't want me to spend. They stopped taking my direct debit, which is because I've got too much credit. I think that's the problem. The problem, my heating's on now. For the next 4 months, it's going to be expensive.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And they've just, I actually don't know what to do.
That is a tough thing, Lisa. I think you should get in touch with your MP. I think they should hopefully be able to help you. You're in Ruislip there. I'm not sure if Boris Johnson's your MP or someone else, but he is. Well, they have good constituency workers. They have people in those offices, and that's their job to help you with this. So if I were in your position, I would email them or ring them and say, look, this is something that has to be sorted out. I need to get this sorted, and I think that's what I would do, because that's their job to sort those things out for you. So I'd give them a ring maybe later this morning if I were you, Lisa.
Okay, thank you very much. It's just I was trying to be, fair to the environment.
Yes, no, I know. And actually, a lot of people are being told, you know, reduce your energy and all the rest of it. But you got to keep warm, Lisa. You got to look after yourself and make sure that you're okay. And I wish you well for the winter. And I hope that we here at Talk TV can maybe keep you company as well.
Thank you very much. You're marvellous. I love your programme.
Oh, that's very kindly. So hopefully you can join me tomorrow. I'm on between 10 and 1. So thank you so much, Lisa. That was Lisa in Ruislip in London. I hope she gets sorted out. And actually, this is a point. I mean, if you are experiencing difficulties like Lisa, your MP is there to help you. It is their job, and they have people who are employed to sort these things out for you. So it's worth getting in touch. It's worth giving them a ring. We're going to actually, it's interesting. We've got a texter here in regard. Jenny in Milton Keynes has been in touch. She says, Peter, the Harry of any importance is Harry Dunn here, whose parents have been through hell and justice has not been served. The US has double standards regarding extradition, and the UK desperate for a trade deal. Shame on both governments. Shame on the Sussexes for promoting their lived experience. And Harry Dunn, age 19, had very little. I think Lettice is still with me. That makes a really good point, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Like, this is the serious issues we're dealing with. And as we've seen from the front pages, Harry and Meghan are across every single one of them. And yet we do have these strikes ongoing. We've got Harry Dunn's situation, which personally I don't think is sorted out at all. I am happy that we saw on the TV this morning Harry Dunn's mother being like she did feel like justice had been served. But
I'm glad she feels that way, and it's good that she has some peace.
But if
I
this
think a lot of people,
again, is we going to go through this again? I just don't think that's an acceptable solution. Yeah,
I think you're absolutely right. Listen, we're going to talk more. We're going to look more at the papers with Lettice Bromovsky, who is a political commentator, and thank you to everybody who's been in touch as well. There's still time to get your call in. Don't forget, Jeremy will be taking calls as well. 0344 499 1000. You can text me on 87222 with the word talk in your message, or you can tweet me at TalkTV, or indeed follow me at Peter Cardwell. And plenty more to come in terms of the paper review on TalkTV between now and past. Lettice will continue to be with us. Stay with us too. And Lettice Bromovsky is still with us. She's a political commentator. Great to have you in the studio. And good news and you may have to declare an interest in this yourself, Lettice. The Independent is talking in our paper review about brilliant news for first-time buyers. What is that brilliant news?
Exactly. For the first time, we've got some good news on a front page, which we're loving.
It's about time for first-time buyers too.
For this younger generation, it's always been a lot of constant negativity around the housing market with a shortage, and that's definitely still there.
Tell us the positivity.
So what's the positivity? So they have found information. So at the moment, the number of landlords looking to sell their properties is at a 13-year high. So essentially the market is being flooded with all these new houses. Now, this does come from a sort of negative standpoint, perhaps, for these landlords. It's a two-part thing. The first is that the crisis in the mortgage market that was created from Liz Truss and Kwasi's mini-budget a few weeks ago now. And the second is that they might actually be losing out on money because of Jeremy Hunt's new proposals and decision to cut capital gains allowances. So it's currently at £12,000. By April 2023, that's going to be cut in half, go down to £6,000, and by 2024, cut in half again to £3,000. So a lot of landlords are seeing that they're not going to be making any money on these properties.
I mean, if you're a buy-to-let landlord, and I do, that's an entrepreneurial thing. Yeah. I'm a capitalist. I want people to make as much money as possible. But if you're a first-time buyer and you're sort of thinking, hold on a second, rents are crazy at the moment. So you don't need me to tell you that. There are people in my life who are trying to rent places and so on. I mean, there are people who put rooms on websites, and hundreds of people are getting in touch with them and so on.
Hundreds of people getting in touch, and also the quality of that room, that house. I pay about 45% of my monthly salary on my rent for a house with my friends. But that house, it's had black mould recently. We've got door handles that don't work, water. The heating has been broken for the last week. I've been freezing cold.
Yeah.
And this is me paying 45% of my salary. I should be, and many other renters out there, we should be getting that quality and standard that is expected by paying such high proportion.
I just think the housing market is kind of broken in our society. Much. Well, I hope this helps people like you get a... But it's interesting, I mean, a lot of those, maybe there's a buy-to-let landlord who'll ring in and say that I'm talking rubbish, but essentially they have benefited hugely from low interest rates, and they've been able to buy property, and if interest rates rates go up. I mean, we knew this
Massively.
was going to happen. I'm a mortgage payer, and I know my mortgage is going to go up, and that's just part of life, unfortunately.
Yeah, and the competition that's out there at the moment, as you're saying, means that people are literally fighting against each other to get these houses, to get these rents for very low quality. And quite frankly, a crash in the housing market, I mean, I don't own any properties, so I might be slightly biased
you would be a beneficiary of that.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
Not sure we entirely agree with that. Yeah, Jeremy's come in, and already at 6:26 he started slagging my accent off.
I'm not slagging your accent off, and can I just say, I'm very proud of you. I thought you sounded really good this morning. It's been a great watch. And it says here, you owe it all to me. So there we go. Yes,
of course I do. No, absolutely.
No, great, mate. Really good to see you on this morning.
Good to see you too. Lettice Bromovsky. Thank you.
Lettice,
so
what
much.
a great name that is.
Thank
Very
you.
nice to meet you.
As I said earlier, she's one Lettice who's outlasted Liz Truss.
Yeah.
But I